Tonight, in Paris, the football world turned on its head. When the name was read out at the Théâtre du Châtelet, housemate Dembele's face told the story. Relief, disbelief, a rush of memory back through a season that had remade. For months, the narrative had felt like a straight duel. On one side, a 28-year-old who had found form, fitness, and a tactical home at PSG. On the other, an 18-year-old sensation who had dazzled Barcelona and global audiences and carried the hopes of a new generation. The result, however, was decisive. Dembele lifted the Ballon d'Or, and the aftershocks moved far beyond a trophy presentation. Fans on both sides erupted, pundits traded blows, and social feeds filled with replays of season moments, now reinterpreted as ballot box evidence. Many will say the prize simply reflected a season, Dembele's role in PSG historic run, the goals, the assists, the moments in biggest games that voters reward. Critics will point to narrative and networks, to how club success and visibility shape perceptions. And then there are human reactions. A teenager who came to Paris with family and expectations, and a veteran who took a final public bow as the year's most celebrated player. That human contrast is what made tonight feel like more than an award ceremony. It felt like an inflection point. There was heat before the gala. Voices that normally sit in the back pages and TV studios moved into the headlines. One outspoken commentator publicly predicted a different outcome, declaring the young Barcelona star the obvious choice and pointing fingers at invisible lobbies that shape big prizes. When the opposite result arrived, that prediction itself became a headline, and the sports argument about fairness and influence flared anew. But behind the theatre lights, the facts that likely won votes were plain. Dembele's season included decisive performances in Europe's biggest matches and a trophy haul for PSG that made him impossible to ignore. Voters often reward players who lift their teams when it matters most. This year, PSG continental triumph carried weight and Dembele was its emblem. Yet the story of the night is not simply about who was crowned. It is also about what this moment says for Barcelona's future. Lamine Yamal, still barely out of her teens, closed the year as a player that every rival feared and every club whispered about with transfer interest. Her brilliance on the wing, her composure in decisive domestic matches, and her role in Barcelona's successes made many believe she was the dawn of a new era. To have her so narrowly beaten only sharpens the spotlight on her career ahead. Because if tonight proved anything, it is that she will have more chances and the world will be watching. The reaction across the continent was as revealing as the trophy itself. In Barcelona's streets there was pride and frustration. In Paris there was celebration and relief. Social platforms turned into arenas where every clip, every stat and every pundit line was replayed and re-argued. For PSG, it was confirmation. A club with ambitions that have long outgrown domestic stature now possesses the symbolic validation of football's highest individual honour. For Barcelona, the near miss will be framed as promise, as a baton passed too early to a new generation. For fans, tonight's debate will matter because awards don't just sit on shelves, they change the narratives that drive transfers, sponsorships and even coaching decisions. And for the players themselves, the psychological edge is real. The winner gets glory, but the runner-up gets a map of how close they are, and that can fuel motivation in ways trophies cannot. In the end, this was a Ballon d'Or that did exactly what the best sporting moments do. It forced conversations, split loyalties, revealed fissures, and also celebrated excellence. We will talk about some of the debate points for weeks. Pundit predictions that backfired, the role of club success in individual awards, and how a young superstar's trajectory may now be turbocharged by a near miss. But one thing is certain, tonight's names, images and arguments will echo into the next season. New coaches will plan with these narratives in mind. Transfer windows will be coloured by tonight's headlines, and two careers, one crowned and one just shy, will be measured by how they respond to this defining moment. The trophy has been handed over in Paris. The story is only beginning.